Okay, what we're going to talk here now about is how we sort of use Perforce for non-Unreal assets. We want to make sure that we are using it for everything that we do, not just what goes into Unreal, but our entire workflow from creating textures and models and audio files. We want to have Perforce and the power of Perforce. Let me walk you through sort of the thought process behind it and what some of the benefits and some of the things we can do are. So I've got just a single texture, a silly photo that is meaningless. It's in a Perforce project. So I usually put my Unreal projects in a folder, and then I have an assets folder that has all my source assets, all my static meshes, all my Maya files, my Blender files, my um, Substance Painter files, everything that goes in. Nothing should be on a hard drive that could get lost and not used. Anything that was used to create an asset should be in the project. And we use a different workflow when we're using with Perforce because we don't have to do things like I don't have to go into this file folder here. Let me go here and open it up in the command window. Whoops, sorry, not the command window. Open it in Explorer. I don't have to go in here and like make a change and then go version one, version two, version three. Yeah, I version I'm working on, and the server will back up all the prior versions. It's a non-destructive workflow. That's what makes Perforce really unique, is it's having unlimited undos. So this is a really powerful concept. Now, the thing is, this is read-only. Unreal does all the checkout for us automatically, but that's just Unreal. When we work on it, we can't do that. So I'll give you an example. So I got that file. So I can load it from here. I can load it from the browser. It doesn't matter. It is in a Perforce folder. So I can go in here and I can try and make a change. So I'm going to go up to Photoshop. Oops, this is not Photoshop, of course. Um, Let me launch it in Photoshop. Let's go here, open with Photoshop, and I'll just put a Gaussian blur across the whole image or something, just to make it obviously different. Just waiting for Photoshop to load. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to go to my filter selection. I'm going to do a Gaussian blur. Yeah, actually, do I have to select everything first? So I've selected all. I'm going to do a blur. Let's just see, can I make that more obvious? Why am I not able to do a Is it a Gaussian blur? There we go, Gaussian blur. There we go. All right, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for. That's too much. Okay, let's actually do it quite a bit. So I actually want to just blur this and use it as a background maybe. So I go here and I've done this change. I've taken that original source file. I always want to come in with my raw. I always want to have my raw data, right? Like so, if it's an audio file or a camera file, I want the rawest, highest resolution file, and then I can go in and change my format after, right? And I'm going to go in here and I am going to go press save. And it basically says could not save because the file is locked. So essentially, that's how Perforce works. It will not let us save it. So first off, I want to make sure I submit this because if I don't submit it, I will not be able to get back to the original file. So I'm going to go to Perforce. And I am going to submit that. Um, this is for a different project. So I'm going to go here, add that file. I've got that center lobby. So I'm going to here, let me submit these two things. This is for something else. This was a third person map change. Actually, you know what? I can just revert these. I don't need these anyhow. So I can revert them. That's not a problem. There we go. So I'm going to submit this, and this is imported original raw photograph. So this is the raw source photograph. Okay. Now, as you saw, I couldn't change it because all files are read only. So if I go here and I show an Explorer, I go to this file and I go to Properties, it says this file's read only. Now we don't want to override it. We want to do it through Perforce. Because if I go here and I go checkout, and I can create a change list, I can put in the default change list, or I can already know. So let's just say I know what I'm doing. So I'm going to go new change list, and I'm going to say blur photo for background. So I'm going to give it my comment, and I'm going to give it a new change list. I could have left it in default, and then I get the red change list that has that file. And now if I look at it, I go into Explorer and I go Properties. Now it's writable. It's no longer read only. So checking out now, it'll be unwritable for anyone else, and no one else can check it out. So since this is a binary, this will lock this file for just you to work on until you check it back in, which is why you always want to check your files back in. So I'm going to go here now and I'm going to go save. So I saved the blurry file. And now I'm going to close Photoshop. I've done my work. I'm going to end my session. I'm going to submit it. I don't have to type in a message because it has that from the change list. And there we go. And if I go to a history tab, I've got the import of the original raw photograph and I've got blur photo for background, but I've only got one image, no number one, number two. I don't have multiple copies of it. I've got one image and I've got all the histories. So I wanted to delete this file. So I go here and I'd go delete. Now I definitely don't want to delete it through Explorer. I want to delete it through Perforce because Perforce is a non-destructive workflow. So even though I'm deleting it, I'm not actually deleting it. I'm going to go delete and I'm going to mark it new and I'm going to go, no longer need to use this photograph. So I've deleted the photograph. So it's gone from my asset folder entirely. Um, and I don't see it here in main, but if I go to my depot and I go to the asset folder, let me submit it. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to submit that change. I'm going to submit that change, and it disappears from the depot. If I go to the depot and I go, this hides deleted depot files. If I show deleted depot files, it's going to have that asset, and it has that file. It's still there. That history of that file of deleting it, blurring it, and the original import is all there. So I can go back in time. This is really the power of Perforce. I can sort of go, you know what? I actually do want to go to it, and I want to go back to the original. I don't want to go back to the blurred one because I don't want to use it for a background anymore. I want to do something else with it. So I can go to this, and I can, I can go here, and I can undo changes. So I'm going to undo a range of changes. So essentially, I want to get back to the revision 1 and get rid of revision 2 and 3. So I'm going to undo a range of changes. And I'm going to go from revision 1 to revision, 2 to 3. So I'm going to get rid of the deletion and I'm going to get rid of the blurring to get back to version 1. So I'm undoing changes from revision 2 to 3. Let's submit that. Submit that to the server. I go back to my workspace and I've got my picture and it's no longer blurry. Now, if I did want to get the blurry version, I could again. I could go back in here and I could go undo changes. And I'm going to undo all changes from a selected point. Let me see if I can find that. So that's going to be revision. So from a selected point is point 2. So undo all changes for 3 and 4. So the deletion and the last undo. So basically I'm going undo all changes from a selection point. And this is typically what we do for a binary because I can't take out part of a version. I have to go back to a single version. So I want to go back to version 2. So essentially, I want to undo all changes beginning from revision 3. It's revision 3. And then I go submit. And I submit that. And then I undo it, and I'm back to my blurry version. Okay. And again, I can go back to any version and work from that point. Everything gets saved. So let me put in here Whoops, that's the wrong software. Let's go back to Explorer. So as you can see, I've made changes, I've deleted it, and I've been able to recover every version. I can't emphasize this enough. This is why it's so important that every change that you make, that you might possibly want to go back to, you want to push. It just takes 1 second in Perforce to submit it. And at any point, I can decide, you know what, I want to go back to that. That happens to be so much in my creative workflow where I go down a path and it's the wrong path. I'm trying some stuff out. I'm being experimental. And I'm like, I just want to go back to this point in time. And if I made 50 changes, I can't go back to step 25 in those 50 changes, right? So I want to like push as if I was saving and adding a number. I want to like push every time in the server so I can always go back to that. So I'm going to go back to this demo assets textures, and I'm going to open this in Photoshop this time. And we'll just add two more visions and we can show you what's going on. And I can go here and I can add some text, add this font, and I'm going to put a giant 2 to make it white. Make it white. And I will make it 300 points. Yeah, we're going to make it a huge, enormous white 2. All right. And I'm just going to save again, not save as. And I'm going to save, and it basically says compatibility. Is it checked out still? I would have thought it wouldn't have been checked out. Did I open the right file? Oh, I'm in the wrong. Am I in the right project? Oh no, it's saved to PSD. Okay, I don't want to do that. Okay, I've added up and Unreal. Sorry, Photoshop just wants to save a PSD file. So I'm going to delete that. I don't want to save it as a PSD. I want to save that. I don't know why it says PSD now. Let's just go save as. I'll leave it as a JPEG. Oops. Assets, textures, folder. That's reading. So it can't do that. I'm going to go back and do Perforce. I'm going to refresh because I deleted that PSD, and I'm going to check that file out. And now it's got the little red check mark on the lock button. So that means I've checked it out. That means it's locked. No one else can edit this. So I know that, we can't have two people making a change to a photo file. So this is good. It's doing what we want it to do. It's locking it for the rest of the team, right? So now I can go back to Photoshop. This, I go yes, and it overwrites it. Then I can close Photoshop, and then I can submit this change. And then I can go added to photo. And then if I go to this photo again and I go to my history, I've got the original raw photo, the blurred photograph, the deletion of the photograph, undoing the blur and the deletion, redoing the blur, and then adding number 2. Okay, let's add number 3 to it. Let's go here. Let's go to, let me check it out first. So normally before you work on a file, you should get in the habit of checking it out. And normally you'd put it in a pending list with a description of what you're doing. So I'm just gonna go, can I actually edit pending list, change the default value? Nah, it's all right. I'm just gonna go in and load this back into Photoshop. And let's add a 3 after the 2. So let's go here, and we're gonna add a 3. We'll make it 300. Same sizes. Whoops. All right, well, I'm going to scale it up. So it's roughly the same size as the other one. Just my scale. And move it over. Okay, so now it says 23. I'm going to go save. Apply the transformation. I don't want to save it as a Photoshop file. So I'm going to again export. Go to JPEG file. Export that name. Since it's checked out, it'll replace. And then I don't save that before quitting. And I go here and I can submit it. So checked out. Sorry, added 3, so the picture is 23 in the foreground. Submit. And I look at the history of that file, and I've got these changes. And it says that I've changed it. It says when I change it, and it says the change list and the revision number. And anyone else can go in and edit that file now and make changes or go back in time. I can also right click on this file and kind of go, sorry, I can go to my history and I can go here and I can go get this revision. So this isn't going to make the change. It's just, I can't remember what the original photograph looked like. So I can get this revision. And it's not actually making a change to the depot. No one else would see this. It actually says that I've not got the latest version. But I can go in here and I can take a look. And I've got that original file. And that again is super useful. I can just go in, hop back, look at something, maybe copy and paste from it, and then go back to the one I'm working on, right? I can go back to this one and I can get the latest, right? So get latest revision, and I'm back to the version with 23. So that's super cool. I can undo, back. So if I wanted to go back to 2, I'll show you that one last time, just so it's really clear. I can go in here and I can undo changes, and I can undo a range of changes. So I'm going to undo basically step 7. I want to go back to step 6. So I'm going to go enter revision number. So I'm going to enter 7 to 7. I believe that's right. And I'm going to submit that. And I'm going to submit it to Perforce. And I'm going to download it, and I'm back to the 2. And if I wanted, I could go back again, back to the 23. So non-destructive workflow. I don't name things multiple times. I keep that one name for the whole life of the image or the asset that I'm working on. And that's sort of how we want to work on assets. And then I can drag this into Unreal, and it gets added to my Unreal project and gets part of the Perforce system through Unreal, as I showed you in a prior video. Anyhow, that's sort of the workflow when using Unreal. Enjoy.